Hey guys, Pelican here. Today I'll be showcasing and going through my Magden solo PvP build for the Go Road patch. Timestamps are in the description, and without further ado, let's get started. First I'll go through my gear setup. For my monster I'm running Balrog, running 1 piece trainee, 5 piece acuity front bar, rallying cry back bar, and for my mythic I'm running Saint and Seducer. So let's start with the most standard set, which is rallying cry. This is pretty much like the best back bar set for solo PvP right now, especially since there are so many gankers around. You need crit resistance from somewhere at least, and it also gives you a pretty nice weapon damage buff. And for my front bar I'm running acuity. Now there's a lot of options to run front bar, but honestly the most damage you're going to get by far is with acuity. But I know some people really don't like this set, so alternatives are pretty much any other damage set, but I would recommend something like Order's Wrath or Hrothgar's Shield. But yeah, if you can, please try to get used to acuity. I mean, the difference in damage between acuity and any other damage set is just insane. So try to get used to this set, get good at it, and you'll be able to burst pretty much anyone. Going along acuity for damage, we have Balrog, which gives you a lot of damage and pen when you use your ultimate, and especially since you are using a high cost ultimate like Northern Storm, this will add a lot of damage to your buff. I tried running around with Bloodspawn and it is a huge damage drop from Balrog, so yeah, definitely run Balrog for your monster. And for my mythic I'm running Saint and Seducer. This is pretty much like the highest damage potential set in the game, especially since we are using acuity. When the major force procs is a lot of damage, and it also gives minor breather as well, so together that's 30% crit damage. But even without the major force, all you need is really one of the 3 damage procs: Berserk, Force and Courage, and it will add a lot of damage to your burst. If you're not a fan of like RNG sets like this, you can always just run Death Dealer's Feet, also a very solid option. And finally, to fill in, I have 1 piece trainee. For my traits, I'm running a roller build. As you can see, I'm in 5 medium, 1 heavy and 1 light. But if you're not a fan of a roller playstyle, you want to go more face tank, you can definitely run 3 heavy instead. And for my traits, I'm running 6 well fitted on my armor and 1 reinforced chest. Always go reinforced on your chest. You can always swap the well fitted to sturdy or impen if you want. And for my shield, I'm also running a well fitted, cause why not? Yeah. For my enchants, I'm running all tri-stack glyphs. For my jewelry, I'm running all infused weapon damage. And for my front bar, I'm running an Ice Staff sharpen with weapon damage enchant. Ice Staff, I believe, is the best for dealing damage on Warden thanks to this passive. Now, I've also played a lot with I played around a lot with dual wield, and eventually I decided on Ice Staff because when you pop Northern, you gain a lot of weapon damage from Balrog as well. So that will offset the weapon damage difference between dual wield and Ice Staff. So in the end, I do think Ice Staff is better. And on top of that, we have some frost damage as well. So that will also help proc minor breather when the major force proc isn't up. And for my back bar, I'm just running a Nern absorb stem. And for my shield, I'm running a tri-stack div as well. So you might be a bit surprised that why am I running Nern on the back bar? Well, that's because I want Nern to buff my healing from Vigor and Healing Soul, as well as especially Vigor, because Vigor will scale off the weapon damage you have when you cast. So ideally, so if you are running Nern, for example, and you cast Vigor and you swap to the other bar without Nern, you will still keep the healing that you would have, unlike Powered, which only works on the bar you're on. And on top of that, in a lot of 1vx scenarios, like after I cast Northern, I don't have time to go like full offense and I have to go back to my back bar to heal. Nern is really helpful because it gives me additional damage when I'm on my back bar, so sometimes I can still get kills on my back bar with Northern and Fissure. So yeah, that's why I chose to go none. So that's all for the gear setup, and now I'll go through my skills. For my front bar, I have Bird of Prey, Chilling Contingency, Blood for Blood, Deep Fissure, Lotus Blossom, and Northern Storm. Bird of Prey is pretty much your only mobility skill, but we are mainly slotting it for the minor berserk. Now, Chilling Contingency, I'm running Frost, the Warden class mastery script, and minor force on it. This will be your main CC, it will be actually your only CC, but it's a very powerful CC ability. In my opinion, it's like the strongest in the game right now. The Warden Charm, it will create a huge 8-meter radius, as you can see here, and that will stun all enemies within it after 2 seconds, and it's an unblockable and an undodgeable stun. So it's a very, very powerful stun. And on top of that, it also slows down enemies before it stuns, so it's a lot harder to escape from it. And it also doesn't show as a red AoE circle on the enemy screen, so some people might not even know what hit them. So it's a very powerful skill indeed. This is also this will also be like sort of your pseudo AoE spammable. It's a bit weird because it's a precast, but you can actually proc the cast by dodging or by bashing. So you can sort of use this as an AoE spammable. And it also gives you force. Next up is Blood for Blood. This is my main spammable. Some people might be uncomfortable using a HP costing skill as a spammable, but on Warden it's very appropriate because you have Lotus and Leeching Vines, so you do get HP back while attacking. So it's not, the cost is pretty much offset by your passive heals, and it also hits very hard when you're at low health. Just take note that if you're planning on running this in group, you might want to swap to the other morph so that you can actually still get healing from your group mates. Deep Fissure is our delayed burst. This also gives this is also your source of your major and minor breach. Lotus is I'm mainly using Lotus for the crit chance, which might seem weird on an acuity build, but I feel like without the crit chance your healing is very low, and crit chance will definitely help you survive with more heals and also increase your damage when you don't have acuity up. And it also gives you quite a bit of healing as well. I heavy attack a lot on my sword and board bar, so every time I heavy attack I get a sizable amount of healing. Finally, for my ultimate, we have Northern Storm. This is like one of the strongest ultimates in the game right now. It hits very hard. With acuity and Baroque up, you're going to constantly see like 6k plus crits on people. And it also gives you major protection, so you are quite tanky when you are trying to burst with this. Normally, if you pop this with acuity and Baroque up, you're guaranteed at least a few kills. For my back bar, I'm running Netch, Ice Fortress, Leeching Vines, Vigor, Healing Soul, and Shield Out. So Netch will be your sustain skill as well as your source of sorcery. And one very underrated ability is the Purge effect. Even though it only removes one negative effect every 5 seconds, it's automatic, so you don't have to think about it. And sometimes it can really come in clutch, like it can remove a very annoying effect like Jarrah's Mountains or even a Cold Fire if you're lucky. So this can come in really clutch as well. And you can also spam it if you're really out of resources and you need a heal. You will get a heal every time you cast it, although a very small one. So this can be sort of an emergency as well if you are out of resource. Ice Fortress, this is pretty much self-explanatory. It's just your armor buff. Leeching Vines, this is, in my opinion, one of the best single target heals in the game. Heals you every time you take damage, and it also applies lifesteal. Now, it is completely fine to go with the other morph. Personally, I think both morphs are equally strong, but I like the lifesteal morph because first of all, lifesteal can crit. So when I'm on the offense with Northern up, I'm pretty much guaranteed a crit heal from lifesteal every second. So it adds to my survivability a lot when I'm going on the offense. But if you want, you can run Living Trellis instead. It's perfectly fine as well. Resolving Vigor, this is your main heal. And finally, Healing Soul, this will be your burst heal. This is like the strongest burst heal in the game right now. It gives you major vitality as well, so even if you are not burst healing, you can try to keep the major vitality up to increase your healings. And it also gives you mag and stem back, so you can sort of use this to convert excess magicka into stem. Finally, for my ult, is a defense ult. I've shield, I've spell wall. I played around with healing ticket as well. Both are very good. It's really up to your preference, but personally for solo I like spell wall because sometimes when I'm really in trouble, I cannot cast Northern. You can still use spell wall as an offense out because first of all it also buffs your Balrog. Second of all, it reflects projectiles, and sometimes like when I have a lot of ranged enemies on it, I will cast spell wall, and believe it or not, like the damage reflected also scales off your stats, including Acuity and Balrog. So there are some scenarios where like I cast this with a Snipe Spammer and the Snipe Spammer just one-shots themselves. So this is really... This functions... This can double as an offense out as well if Northern isn't an option. So that's all for my skills. Now I'll be just going through the rest of the stuff. For my race, I'm a Breton. This is 100% the best class to go. I wouldn't really go any other class, especially since you need so much resistance nowadays. For my attributes, I'm just running this. You can adjust it if however you want, but I would recommend at least 33k health. You can go like 36k if you want, doesn't matter. Like Warden functions really well with high HP setups. For my mundus, I'm running Shadow for more crit damage. And for my foot, I'm just running where is it? I'm just running the Bear Haunch. For potions, I'm just running standard tri-stats, but if you are really rich, you can run the heroism pots. Those are even better than tripods. Finally, I'm also a stage 3 vamp. Yeah, okay. Now I will be going through my CP setup. So for my blue CP, I'm running 3 defense and 1 offense. Focus Mending is really good because all your heals are single target pretty much, unless you're using the heal out. And the reason I'm going so much defense is, I mean, this damage taken in solo PvP this patch is just insane. And besides, with Acuity and Balrog out, you have a ton of damage. So that's why I chose to go to defense. 3 defense. Fighting Finesse will buff both your healing and your damage. For my raid, I'm running Pain's Refuge, Survival Instincts, Sustained by Suffering, and Rejuvenation. This build needs a lot of sustain, so that's why I'm running 2 sustain CPs. But another thing you can do is like run another CP like Celerity or a defense CP like Relentlessness or Juggernaut, and then just swap out one of your damage glyphs for regen. Survival Instincts and Pain's Refuge, this is pretty much just standard for solo PvP. Pain's Refuge is super OP when outnumbered. So that's all for the build. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.